the United States, I decided that if you could use propaganda for war, you could certainly use it for peace. And propaganda got to be a bad word because of the Germans using it. So what I did was to try to find some other words. So we found the word Council on Public Relations.
Bernays returned to New York and set up as a public relations counsel in a small office off Broadway. It was the first time the term had ever been used. Since the end of the 19th century, America had become a mass industrial society, with millions clustered together in the cities. Bernays was determined to find a way to manage and alter the way these new crowds thought and felt. To do this, he turned to the writings of his uncle Sigmund. While in Paris, Bernays had sent his uncle a gift of some Havana cigars. In return, Freud had sent him a copy of his general introduction to psychoanalysis. Bernays read it, and the picture of hidden irrational forces inside human beings fascinated him. This series is about how those in power have used Freud's theories to try and control the dangerous crowd in an age of mass democracy. At the heart of the he showed American corporations for the first time how they could make people want things they didn't need by linking mass-produced goods to their unconscious desires. Out of this would come a new political idea of how to control the masses. By satisfying people's inner selfish desires, one made them happy and thus docile. It was the start of the all-consuming self, which has come to dominate our world today.
Hello everyone, welcome to GGN. Today is November 26, 2012. I'm Darko. Alright, so I covered this video before from September 27th. I'll post a link. You can watch the whole thing on Edward Bernays and how they use psychology to control the masses, and especially through consumerism. And you can see the results of it. You saw it last year, people getting trampled, and it only gets worse and worse and worse. So it's basically tricking people into thinking that these are the things that they have to have, right? They're desires, but they're saying that they need to have it, basically by triggering some kind of emotional response out of people, saying this is going to make me feel better about myself by having this product. But now, of course, they're scaling it down from the consumerism to this kind of green economy. So you're supposed to not use as much, you're not supposed to be buying things anymore. Basically a more austere life. The thing is, of course, is that most people throughout history, I'm not talking about royalty and aristocrats, the majority of the population have been living in basic poverty, but it wasn't a big deal for them because they were always, for the most part, self-sustainable. They can provide all of the necessities that they had to have. And then, of course, then they engineered people in, the 20th century to have all of this throwaway goods. Something's not even used up all the way, or it's not even completely broke. You don't try to fix it, just throw it away, buy another one. So completely consumeristic, materialistic society. And now they're ratcheting it back with the quote recession. So basically they gave the middle class a little bit of money, a little bit of spending power, and now they've taken that back. They've consolidated all the wealth in the last 30 years or so, if not more. And they have to train people to be how they were, which was austere, and be happy with it. The only problem is that they're not going to be self-sustainable. So as right before, they were semi-sustainable. They were still relying on the king's policies and stuff like that. So even back in the 1600s, they weren't even self-sustainable. There was people that didn't even know that they could go out and survive off the land. People dying in the streets because they were relying on harvest that was manipulated like the economy today by the kings and the powers that be back then. So, but these are the people, these are the zombies that live amongst us. I mean, they keep talking about a zombie apocalypse. This is what the military and police are getting ready for. These zombies right here. You have fights going on, right? Teens in custody after Woodland Mall fight. It says in Michigan, a fight broke out in the midst of early Black Friday shopping at the mall. It goes on and says that the news spread quickly on Twitter. Gang fight at Woodland Mall. Cops tackled them and sprayed pepper spray. Everyone in that wing started coughing and sneezing. It goes on and says police credit beefed up security at the mall since a number of violent incidences since last year. It says officers were quick to quell Friday morning's fracas. So there's a lot of people that say, well, the cops, thank God for the cops, right? Thank God for the security, right? Because these people have been completely engineered into a bunch of, I don't know what you want to call them. But the answer isn't more cops. The answer isn't more pigs controlling you, treating everyone else that doesn't want to act like a zombie like a child. So I don't want to be treated like a child, much like most of my viewers. So if these people could just, I don't know, just go away or stop being dumbasses, then we wouldn't have to put up with this. So the answer isn't more security. The answer is to fix society, and that's what GGN is all about here, what I talk about. Land O'Lakes woman arrested at Wal-Mart speaks out. So this is a woman that was arrested at a Wal-Mart, and it goes on here and says that she was seen approaching crowded checkout lines. She attempted to bypass the long lines, walk past the controlling lines. It goes on here and says that she was trying to find her sister-in-law, and to make a long story short, she said that she refused the police's orders to get back in line, and she began throwing the items she was carrying on the floor and pulling away from the officer, basically resisting. So it goes on and it also says that he used all his body weight and was basically sitting on her. A man pulls gun on rowdy line-cutting Black Friday shopper. Impatient line cutter had allegedly punched man in the face. Police say man had permit to carry gun and won't be charged. So there was the last story. The story before that, someone was pepper spraying someone else, another customer, and that's what happened last year as well. That was in Texas, I believe, and then you have this one, Nebraska. Disturbances lead to scare at West Roads Mall, and it says the 9/11 callers reported hearing gunfire. But there were no injuries. In fact, she said that the customers heard the sounds of trash cans being knocked over by the sheeple as they were bullying their way through for the big bargains. U.S. police pepper spray and arrest pipeline protesters. U.S. police have pepper sprayed a group of activists protesting against the construction of a pipeline carrying toxic tar sand to refineries in East Texas. Also, LAPD prepares for Fat Zombie Rampage at the Wal-Mart. This is from the 22nd, and I'll probably have to do 4 videos today because I have just a lot to get to. I won't be able to cover the post-Israel assault on Gaza and what's going on in Syria today because there's just too much. I'll have to cover it tomorrow, so please join me tomorrow for the Middle East news. Many people are sending in stories about bowling ball-shaped zombies running amok, so feel free to post these in the comments from Cryptagon. The LA Times, Black Friday is supposed to be a day for burning off those Thanksgiving calories. It says the LAPD, it became a day of surveillance, crowd control, and crime suppression tactics. Helicopters will buzz above some shopping centers, or they did, I guess. It says a cavalry of LAPD officers will patrol on bikes and horses. From store rooftops, officers will scan the crowds below looking for unruly behavior by using technology and facial recognition and that. Electronic signs near stores will warn customers about becoming victims of theft as they navigate the mass of humanity looking for bargains. In fact, they've been visiting stores to talk with managers about the psychology of the frantic shopper. Biggest incident was last year at a Porter Ranch Walmart in which 24 people were injured when a woman unleashed pepper spray during a frantic battle for some discounted video games. Caught on camera, a woman goes into cardiac arrest during a traffic stop. So the video was taken by California Highway Patrol, maybe the first time a camera has captured all of the events leading up to the cardiac arrest following the use of a taser. It says on June 4th, the officer stopped to check on the welfare of the 50-year-old after finding her sitting in a parked vehicle. So a camera mounted on officers captured the incident. Pretty interesting. They go in there and ask, was she drinking? She says nothing. Then he goes, what about medication or drugs? And they they say they questioned her for 15 minutes. I was trying to tell family members, like, a standard police procedure now is to detain you for 15 to 30 minutes, treat you as a terrorist suspect for just whatever traffic infraction. So they're looking for something to bust. If they're going to waste, they don't want to waste their time. And if they pull you over, they want to try to get something onto you, so they keep looking and looking and looking. So they want you to self-incriminate. So be a good slave and go ahead and say, well, I was doing this, and I was coming from here, and I'm going there, and I'm doing this. And just tell them everything that they want to hear so you can incriminate yourself. I just don't like to feel like I want to give you my purse from me. Whatever, not a very good speaker, but either way, she held her purse tightly to her chest and ran back to her vehicle. According to the arrest report, the officer hit the trigger on the taser 3 times, sending 3 separate jolts. So, said, don't move, stop moving. The officer could be heard yelling. And links will be posted in YouTube's video description. Go check them out. I just try to give an overview of all the news that's going on in the world right now. A Maniac cop knees kid in the head. A disturbing video of an arrest took place in Texas, showing a deranged police officer sprinting into a park and thrusting a knee into the back of a teenager's head, then screaming, "Move and die," repeatedly before identifying himself on the camera. The video commences with the kid being held on the ground by another officer as he states, "You just won't leave me alone and let me call my mom." So the officer calls for backup. That's what they always do. As this standard operating procedure now too. When you get pulled over for whatever, or just get a visit from the friendly revenue collector known as the police or political law enforcement officers, the courageous officers like to call 3 to 4 different units over to assist them. Because again, you might be a terrorist. But after putting the teenager in a headlock, the police officer says, "This is not going to work out for you, buddy." After the kid claims that he cannot breathe, the officer appears to have the situation under control and convinces the kid to lay down, put his hands behind the neck. So then another officer comes tearing out from nowhere and shows his knee into the kid's face, saying, "Move and die, move and fucking die. You're gonna move again, fucking move again, fucking move again," the cop yells, before also yelling at the person videoing the incident. So go check it out. So he says, "Move so I can kick your ass. Move so I can fuck you up. Give me a reason to fuck you up," the officer states. So that's why they're there, to protect you. So dirty cops treat Good Samaritan like a thief. Man sues them for $1 million. So this Yakov Dubin is not likely to do anyone a good deed for a while, if ever. So it says society has the New York City Police Department to thank for that. It says this 49-year-old was acting more like a good Samaritan than a petty thief when he was busted by plainclothes officers recently after taking $27 from an old purse he found lying in a local park. So I'll just stop here and we'll continue with part 2 coming up here. Thank you.